After the resolution of the conflict with the Sabines and the eventual integration of the Sabine people into the Roman state, the city of Rome found itself still in a precarious position. The Sabine War, which had seen the abduction of Sabine women and their eventual reconciliation with the Romans, was a significant milestone in Rome's early history. However, this did not mean that Rome's immediate future was secure. The city was still in its infancy, and the Romans had yet to establish strong alliances with all the surrounding tribes. In fact, many neighboring tribes, particularly those who had not directly been involved in the Sabine conflict, viewed the rising power of Rome with suspicion and hostility. One such tribe, the Caeninenses, a Sabine people from the region of Caenina, near modern-day Sitaducale, found itself in direct conflict with Rome. This led to the war with the Caeninenses, a pivotal conflict in the early expansion of Rome. The causes of the war were rooted in a combination of territorial expansion, distrust, and the need to secure resources and military alliances. Although the Sabine conflict had ended with a fragile peace, not all Sabine tribes were willing to forgive the Romans for their actions during the Sabine abduction. For the Caeninenses, this war was as much about resistance to Roman expansion as it was about protecting their own tribal interests. With Rome growing in size and its borders expanding, the Caeninenses feared that their independence and control over their territory would be undermined by the increasing influence of the Roman city-state. The Caeninenses, though a smaller tribe, were not without their own sense of military pride and honor. They were aware of Rome's growing power and its tendency to absorb neighboring peoples, whether through diplomatic means or force. The Romans' victory in the Sabine War, coupled with their acquisition of women from the Sabine tribe, was viewed as a sign of Roman dominance and a threat to the traditional power structures in the region. With this in mind, the Caeninenses decided to strike against Rome, hoping to prevent further expansion and possibly to weaken the city-state before it could grow too powerful. The conflict itself took place not far from Rome's immediate borders. Caenina, the heart of the Caeninenses' territory, was located in the hills to the northeast of Rome. While not as close to the city as the Sabines, the Caeninenses' position still posed a threat, especially given the Roman city's reliance on surrounding allies and its need to establish control over key territory. The exact location of the battle is not clearly recorded in ancient sources, but it is often described as taking place near the Roman frontier on the borders of the region that the Caeninenses inhabited. This proximity made the conflict a natural next step in the Romans' quest for territorial consolidation. The war began when the Caeninenses, led by their king Acron, launched an attack on Rome. The precise reasons for this attack are not entirely clear, but it is suggested that they saw the growing power of the Romans as a direct threat to their sovereignty. Perhaps the Caeninenses were emboldened by their belief that the Romans, newly formed and still establishing their strength, would be vulnerable to an attack. It is also possible that the Romans' military successes in the Sabine conflict were seen as an opportunity for the Caeninenses to strike, while the city of Rome might have been distracted or weakened by its recent peace with the Sabines. Upon hearing of the attack, Romulus, the first king of Rome, immediately mustered his forces and led his army into battle. According to legend, Romulus's leadership was instrumental in the Roman victory. The Romans, though still a small city-state, were quick to respond, demonstrating the effectiveness of their military organization. Romulus, already known for his military prowess, positioned his forces in a way that allowed them to confront the Caeninenses effectively. The battle was intense, but the Roman forces managed to gain the upper hand. It is said that Romulus, displaying his characteristic bravery and strategic skill, personally led the charge against the Caeninenses, decisively routing them and forcing their army to retreat. The Caeninenses, despite their initial advantage in surprise and perhaps numerical strength, could not withstand the might of the Roman army, which was driven by a desire for territorial security and the consolidation of power. The pivotal moment in the conflict came when the Roman forces captured Acron, the king of the Caeninenses. Acron's capture marked the turning point in the battle. According to the legend, Romulus did not immediately execute the captured king. Instead, he brought Acron before him, symbolically displaying the power of Rome by taking the king as a captive. However, it was ultimately determined that Acron's fate was sealed. Romulus, having secured a clear victory, ordered Acron's execution. Acron's death was not just a matter of military success. It had significant symbolic value for the Romans. The execution of the Caeninenses king signified Roman dominance and was a powerful message to other neighboring tribes that resistance to Roman power would result in dire consequences. This moment in Roman history would be remembered for centuries as a symbol of Rome's strength and its growing territorial influence. After the battle, Romulus held a triumph, a celebratory military procession in which the spoils of war were paraded through the streets of Rome. Acron's armor was one of the most important trophies of the triumph, and it was said to have been displayed as a sign of Roman superiority. This triumph was more than just a celebration of victory. It was a statement to the surrounding tribes that Rome was not to be trifled with. The spoils of war, including weapons and armor, were distributed among the soldiers, reinforcing the loyalty of the army to Romulus and solidifying the relationship between the military and the king. The aftermath of the war with the Caeninenses was crucial for the future of Rome. First and foremost, the victory served to solidify Romulus's position as Rome's ruler and military leader. His ability to successfully defend Rome from external threats and expand the city's influence was crucial for his legacy as the founder of the Roman state. The defeat of the Caeninenses also had significant strategic importance. Rome's victory over the Caeninenses sent a message to the other neighboring tribes that Rome was not only a force to be reckoned with, but also a power that would continue to expand and absorb those who resisted it. Rome's victory in the war with the Caeninenses also marked an important step in the city's early military history. The conflict showcased the Romans' growing military capabilities, which would later play a central role in Rome's rise as a dominant power in the Mediterranean world. The battle demonstrated that the Roman army, though still small compared to the more established armies of neighboring tribes, was highly effective under Romulus's leadership. The success also encouraged other tribes to either submit to Rome or form alliances with the city-state, further strengthening Rome's position in the region. In addition to the military and territorial gains, the war with the Caeninenses served to enhance the prestige of Romulus and his leadership. The execution of Acron and the subsequent triumph was a defining moment in his reign, reinforcing his image as a powerful and invincible ruler. Romulus's victories helped to establish the city of Rome as a dominant force in central Italy, a position that it would maintain for centuries. The war with the Caeninenses, like the earlier conflict with the Sabines, was an important episode in the formation of Rome as a unified state. It demonstrated the city's ability to defend itself and to expand its influence through military conquest. The victory over the Caeninenses also set a precedent for Rome's future military campaigns, which would eventually lead to the city's domination of the Italian peninsula and beyond. In conclusion, the war with the Caeninenses was an essential chapter in the early history of Rome, highlighting the city's military capabilities, the leadership of Romulus, and the challenges that Rome faced as it sought to secure its borders and establish dominance in central Italy. The victory over the Caeninenses helped solidify Rome's position as a rising power and served as a symbol of its growing military strength. Romulus's triumph over the Caeninenses would become a defining moment in Roman history, laying the groundwork for the future expansion of the Roman state. The battle not only contributed to Rome's territorial growth, but also reinforced the idea that Rome was a city destined to dominate the Mediterranean world.